Welcome to another episode of the Reboot Chronicles, a no-holds-barred forum with global leaders, authors, entrepreneurs, and CEOs about how organizations stay focused on growth and innovation in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean DeVias, coming to you live from Reviv's North American headquarters in Chicago, and we would like to thank you for joining us from around the globe today. I'd like to welcome Mark Anderson to the Reboot Chronicles. He is the CEO of Alteryx, which helps organizations make sense of the massive data messes that they deal with through automated analytics that allow them to take action, people like us. We invited Mark to see what we can learn from his remarkable reboot, pivoting Alteryx from kind of an analyst tool business type of business into a global enterprise platform used now by thousands of organizations. And it's also propelled them into an addressable market that we estimate to be over $100 billion this decade, which is amazing. So, Mark, it's good to see you.
You too, Dean. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. A lot to talk about with you. Never know where to start with great companies, but we just loved your reboot because public company CEOs sometimes do not have the freedom to pivot, so maybe we'll just start with that. What was the whole process like for you? This big reboot from a kind of like an analyst tool into global enterprise grade platform that, quite frankly, has a lot of competition. You know, so many companies out there selling into these organizations. So yeah, I'd love to hear the story.
Yeah, I love the term reboot. I mean, it's a great fit for Alteryx. You know, I inherited a great company from a great team at Alteryx. Dean Stoker, our founder and one of our founders and CEO.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah.
So are you 2 years in or three?
No,
how long are you in?
2.5 years now. And
Nice.
Dean, asked me to be on the board at the IPO just to kind of help give them some guidance on, especially go to market, which is my background, and it was a happy board member watching this company grow. But we were primarily a bottoms up kind of motion to customers, selling and marketing primarily to analysts, the users of our software. And the software is amazing. It turns people that use manual software, banging their heads against the wall, pulling data from infinite sources, into data ninjas or citizen data scientists.
Right.
It's just that we were selling them a license here, a license there, and my experience is in tech anyway. That bottoms up kind of motion, it works until it doesn't. And for us, the forcing function was the pandemic, and at such time, it was a pretty big company, about $500 million in size, and Dean asked me to come in and kind of apply some of my pattern recognition and experience at scaling.
And muscle memory too, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just been a joy. It's interesting times, of course. There's no textbook for running a business as a first-time CEO in a pandemic, but I tell you, we have a really good team, and we've been able to hire world-class people that have stage experience for the next few legs of the journey. And the company's essentially doubled in the time that I've been here, thanks to that team.
It's impressive. I mean, that's why we, reached out to you. It's like you don't see that many companies that you double in revenue after you pivot and you're staying profitable. Those of you that are checking out companies, this is a public company, so a lot of info available on them. But it's just a very rare reboot cycle because the way we approach reboots is you got to focus on people, the platform, the passion. So far, your platform play is just. I don't know how did you know to make these decisions so long ago? Like this kind of feels like no code type of things, and that a lot of companies weren't sure how deep to go into that. And now, as you're looking at 2024, it's a no brainer.
Well, I learned a long time ago from leaders like John Chambers and John McAdam at F5 and Mark.
John's going to be on. John's on next week, actually.
Oh, cool!
I'll tell him he said hi.
Please do. I saw him last week. But I learned, that you got to listen to your customers, and our customers were telling us, "Hey, this software is great, but I have users in my business that don't run, don't want a thick client on Windows." And so, we really had to reboot the platform as well. We had to re-platform in all 3 public cloud environments to be able to allow all the users across the business to provision us regardless of device, regardless of operating system, regardless of location. And so really removing some of the friction that was is in every software company as you mature and grow over time. you're always trying to remove friction, and just having done this journey a few times before as an executive leader, I really felt pretty comfortable knowing that our customers. It's a very crowded vendor landscape. There's a lot of confusion. There's
Extremely, yeah.
hundreds of companies that kind of sort of sound like they
We'll
do
get it.
the same thing.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute because I do want to know how you fight because
Yeah,
it's tough. But you just mentioned something that you're on all three platforms. I assume you mean Google, Microsoft, and Amazon
correct,
cloud platforms, right?
correct.
And so most people, we had Intuit on like a month ago. They're just hardcore Amazon, and they're just happy they're not sending out CD-ROMs anymore like the '80s, probably. But
Yeah.
pretty impressive what they've done there. But why you on all three?
Well, because data is everywhere. It's in people's hard drives. It's on server hard drives. It's in data lakes in the enterprise, running legacy technology in data lakes. It's in cloud data warehouses now. It's in public cloud and public SaaS environments. So you've got to be able to really be an orchestration layer for the enterprise, which is really what Alteryx Designer is.
Right.
You've got to be able to push that that logic and that innovation down into those environments to really help them do what we need to do with our software engine to help customers get insights.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And you're talking to massive corporations, the JP Morgans of the world and every leader in every industry. So that makes sense. Like, hey, we're already on this platform, so please be on it. But it probably makes things a little more difficult for you, or maybe expensive. Who knows? But
It
when you
does.
look at, I'm just trying to give people a frame of mind of what you've pivoted to, because this is not a small thing. It's like this is like analytics for the rest of us. Whatever, pick your name. Democratization of data, and allowing people like Dean, not your chairman or CEO, but to actually play with it in an environment where I can get what I need. And this is before generative AI and all the buzz and noise about that. You guys identified this early on. How did you? What made you say yes? This is where we're putting the stakes. We're making my bet. Going to stand on this flag. Here we go.
Well, I think we saw the market and really the people that were delivering the tools to the business. And when I say the business, I mean the HR operations people, the people in finance and tax and accounting and supply chain. The people that
Yeah.
were trying to deliver automation to these people, they weren't succeeding, right? Because you can't take a data scientist or a data engineer in IT and plug them into HR because they don't have the context of a 20-year career in HR. So,
Yeah. It's not their wheelhouse at all. Good
no.
point.
So we
Yeah.
felt really early on, and this credit goes to the team well before I joined, but early on that the automation needed to be delivered to those people with a really easy to learn piece of low code, no code software that takes people that just have advanced spreadsheet skills and turns them into those data ninjas or those citizen data scientists. And so really over the last 20 years, we've been building
Yeah.
connectors to infinite data sources and analytical tools to in the hundreds now, so that those analysts themselves in HR and finance and supply chain can do that themselves.
So they don't have to go stand in line at the CFO's office anymore. And what do we call that? Excel hell.
Exactly.
Um, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm shocked how many companies still run things on Excel. It's like getting
I
the
I
I was
stopped.
at a board meeting this morning. I had to wait for the reports. I'm like, are we still using that?
I know
I mean, it's okay for day to day stuff, but it's like, seems like the reporting should be automated by now.
it sure
Anyway,
does.
I digress.
Yeah, and I stopped getting surprised hearing that from that. I hear it every day from customers.
Yeah,
They're looking to automate
you
this.
probably hear it from big industry leaders too.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Like, please help me, get me out of this. So,
Yeah,
how do you help? This is a competitive question now. I was going to
yeah,
go into product, but remind me to come back. So I look at major organizations, I work with them all the time as an advisor, and I look at the stacks and racks of equipment and everyone from Oracle to Microsoft to Google to everyone that wants to be in there to you know we've had most of the CEOs on the show. It's a mess. That's why I opened up with the word mess, because
it
it's
is.
I wouldn't want to deal with it right now. They've all built on top of things, and then of course M&A made that even worse for the big, let's call them what they are, maybe industry oligopolies, because
Right.
everything from airlines and everything else. They've consolidated so much. So you come in like, hey, we're not just another stack of things. We're going to do what? How do you help them?
Yeah, well, to your point earlier, Dean, everyone's still using manual either processes and or
Yeah.
software in many parts of their business. And so, today with our rebooted go-to-market motion, we actually start with the outcome, the business outcome, or the use case that customers need, and will pay for today, right? So if you go to our website today and look at our use case navigator, there's hundreds of use cases, like a couple of dozen in tax, for example, that are templatized and allow us to go into a customer and say, "Hey, Dean, read from your last earnings
Uh,
call transcript that you're looking to automate tax, given the new dynamic of remote workforce. We've got a use case that we can stand up in a couple of days. All we need is a couple of analysts on your side, a couple of days of training, and we try to land with a business outcome, and then we expand into adjacent parts of the business or additional use cases within that part of the business. And really,
yeah, the old land and expand model, which if
exactly,
you're helping them, they probably love it.
they do, right? And and
It's
and
probably
so
contagious because the HR guy goes, I'm doing it all myself now.
absolutely. And to your point about
Production and
you know,
supply chain guys are like, what? We're still waiting for the CFO.
yeah, yeah.
But you and I have hired a lot of data scientists. They're very expensive. They're hard to find. We're never going to produce enough of them. I don't know. They just can't graduate that many. I don't think. So does this fix that problem? Does this democratization process, or are the data scientists sitting back and laughing, going, yeah, this is analytics for dummies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we figured there's maybe 3 to 4 million data scientists in the world, and they're roughly
No, it's more than I
retiring
thought. Yeah.
or graduating at the same levels.
Yeah.
The world needs data engineers. I think it's still LinkedIn's number one hot job, but they're very expensive, and there just aren't enough of them. They need data engineers to provide the governance and the guardrails for broader citizen-led deployment, right? And so we're right there in the sweet spot of
So that
focusing on
scales well. Yeah.
absolutely focusing on the people within the line of business that
Yeah.
just with a few days of training can automate much of their processes with Alteryx software. And I think every company is looking to upskill their knowledge workers and take advantage of these capabilities to go faster, to do more, and these days to do more with less.
So I get that. So that is how you help them. It's like, hey, you don't need to have 50 data scientists. You need a few that are large and in charge and can help. But we're going to kind of train the trainers and give you the, I don't know about guard wheels, training wheels maybe that will help
Yeah.
you, help you get started. But what about competition? It's just everybody says they're doing this now, and so I guess we'll transition into AI. But I want to come back to your product roadmap. So I just want to talk about go to market and product roadmap without getting too geeky. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, how do you survive in this when everyone's kind of saying, yeah, we're doing that too, or we're going to do that?
Well, it is a pretty fragmented vendor landscape, and just like anything in technology, there's a notion of co-opetition. For us,
Big time. Yeah.
some of the cloud players do some of the things that we do. Some of the cloud data warehouses players do some of the things that we do, but typically for a typical analytical workflow, according to Forrester Group, there's 3 to 4 vendors involved, and that just doesn't scale. It doesn't allow
No.
you mentioned JP
No.
Morgan earlier. They've gone from a few hundred users to tens of thousands of users just in the last couple of years as they're automating all their functional people with Alteryx.
Yeah,
Yeah,
including their client-facing stuff. Now clients can drag and drop things,
precisely. And so,
that's a fascinating market for you, I bet.
yeah, and in my experience, these
Not
large
not
banks.
finance, but just the customers,
Totally, yeah. But they
any
often
industry.
set the trend for large enterprise, and clearly they tend to go
Ah,
faster
yeah,
and
yep.
earlier. And so, really, that movement from dozens of users to hundreds to thousands of users is where we think we're going to be able to go. And there's nobody that does what we do. We're not just a data prep and blending tool because we apply
There's a lot of those. Yep.
yeah, there's a bunch of those, but often they don't provide you with the analytical tools that we provide to be able to build a complete workflow that replaces manual process, right? That workflow can be published to other users to eliminate their manual work. So we're really a unique provider, and and it's also not that we take advantage of this. It's also difficult to take us out. Some of our customers have tens of thousands of workflows that they're running every day with
Right.
Alteryx. You can't just copy and paste that if you want to replace us with ABC vendor, because ABC vendor doesn't exist. And even if you did put together 3 or 4 other vendors, you'd have to go back to square one with manual work and do it their way. So it is kind of, the industry is its own worst enemy because of that fragmentation, but we're trying to become the standard for orchestration across the
Right.
enterprise.
Yeah, that's why in your intro I got through a lot of long words, but it was I made a differentiation about this is automated analytics, and a lot of it
Yeah,
still is not.
for
And some
sure.
people like it that way. By the way, the old school guys, they like to be the scientists, and you're kind of allowing some of us to be, fake scientists, I guess. And it's I guess those are two takeaways for me: automated and democratization.
Yeah.
So when you look at both product roadmap and go to market strategy, good reboot, especially on the platform side, build, buy, borrow, how do you look at that strategy in terms of growth so far? Because you've bought some things you've
Yeah.
acquired, and then the future. Yeah. Take us through your logic there.
Yeah. Well, listen, our business is still
I don't know if
growing.
logic's the right word.
Yeah.
your
And
your
business
journey.
is growing really, really quickly, right? Just over the last
Yeah.
3 years, I think we've averaged about 30% year over year annual recurring revenue growth. And that's while kind of we've been retooling and rebooting the business. So, for us, I think you got any business that's in this space that's growing at that cadence, you've got to do all of the above, right? So we have to have. I think we've become a very good partner for companies like Snowflake and Databricks, the two primary cloud data warehouse providers, as well as Google BigQuery. Google actually OEMs Alteryx for their data prep tool in
Oh,
BigQuery.
really? Oh, nice. That's a
Yeah,
good deal.
yeah, and then we've been really hard at work hiring great engineers that have cloud experience that are building products that we're embedding into the platform, and we've got to make acquisitions. I think to continue to help our customers consolidate the number of vendors that they work with because they want as they like to say fewer necks to choke. They want fewer vendors. They want less complexity, more automation. They want platforms, right? So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
what we're
That's
building
what.
in the
Yeah.
cloud.
That's what all the CEOs tell me. We want to buy more products from less companies. They don't actually say more products, but
Yeah,
yes, we want to consolidate. And I said, well, be careful. The defense industry almost is too consolidated. So
yeah, for sure.
I always throw that in there just to get them to think a little bit because they need people like you actually that can be the connective tissue, the glue that makes sense, and you know
Yeah,
hopefully convert them. But yeah, I mean, the next few years, no shortage of build, buy, borrow opportunities. But and your whole people mix has probably changed. Your experts in house are probably much different than they used to be in terms of what they're building.
for sure. Yeah, we've gone from mostly a selling organization where most of the resources we're talking to customers across the spectrum of size to
Ah,
now like a subject matter experts that can help stand up use cases in finance or HR or supply chain. And so that's often a lot of personnel change which we've had, but I think it's
yep.
necessary for the future because that's what customers will pay for. The days of shelfware, I think those days are over.
Shelfware. Gosh, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank gosh those are gone. And being a cybersecurity guy, you probably also have a great perspective on all this cloud stuff is great, but
yeah.
when I think about the financial institutions, sometimes I'm surprised they're on an Amazon platform. It's like okay, because I know some of them. Is there any trend? We're getting geeky here, sorry, but to go back in house with any of these industries?
I think the public cloud providers, primarily Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and AWS, have
Yep,
all done I think an exceptionally good job of building the kind of segmentation that you need to be able to
they seem pretty bulletproof. Yep,
they really are. So really, it's enterprises everywhere are looking for frankly educating their users because you're only as strong as your weakest link in an enterprise. And so we've hired a great CISO that has really delivered a lot of education to our users to make sure that we're following best practices, and then we're using capabilities, tools like my old company, Palo Alto Networks, and many others, to really provide the platforms that can help not only secure our access of our employees, but I think to where you were going, our customers' access to our
Yeah.
innovation in the cloud. And that's a big part of Lucas Moody is our CISO, and that's a big part of his job is working with product and engineering to build security into the products for the cloud from day one, not as an afterthought.
Yeah, I just brought it up because there's people like me and our producer that listening to you, Paul. We use tools like on the weekend, we're on vacation, but we like to like download them to our desk. So we've got our laptop, we're just like off working and we're not online, that kind of thing. And I just wonder about how some companies firewall that stuff. But more general, it's the when you look at the people throwing monkey wrenches into your plans. So you want to probably triple in size and be a multi-billion-dollar company, which you're pretty much on your way to be. Um, so you guys were smart. You said, "Hey, we're going low, no code," before people were actually physically doing it. A lot of people were talking about it,
Yeah.
but they weren't necessarily doing it at the enterprise grade level, the big dogs, if you will, that you're competing with. So now a new one is AI and a new monkey wrench, which you and I have been in that business for a long time, but now it's it's the subject of cocktail parties and people that don't know what they're talking about, but everyone wants to talk about it right now. It was, metaverse a year ago, but AI is
Yeah.
clearly going to transform this business. So what's your, without giving away the, state secrets, what are your thoughts? How does that, did it already factor into your pivot?
Yeah, for sure. I think you kind of opened it up by describing us as the kind of company that can democratize access to capabilities to
Yeah.
more than just data scientists, right? We don't want to put them out of work, but we want them to focus on the highest order bits, so that you can have everybody across the vertical parts of the business become a
Yeah. It's all about creating value.
data driven work.
Why these tools are to help you run your business, of course. Yeah.
Totally. So generative AI,
People lose sight of that sometimes, by the way. They
yeah,
want pretty reports and
they do. But
like the
generative
manager
AI
wants results.
generative AI is going to be massive. I mean, it
Yeah.
really will help us accelerate the time to value and really help us help our customers build better workflows faster, which is going to be great for business. I think for us, it's going to help us go. We've doubled our user count roughly in the last 2.5 years. I hope we can continue to run at that clip or faster. And I think generative AI is going to help us do that. We've been using artificial intelligence in a lot of what we do already. So the step towards large language models is a step we're already taking ourselves. And in fact, we announced 3 new products at our customer conference last May, or this past May in Las Vegas, where we had almost 4,000 customers cheering wildly.
Yeah, I heard some good things coming out of that
Yeah,
program. I actually probably had a little FOMO. I didn't attend it.
yeah.
The Zoho conference had a similar buzz. Much smaller target market than you, but yeah, you have a good following.
Yeah, I think it's because what we do for those people in that
Yeah,
community, it really matters, right? It's not just the output that they deliver, but it upskills people, and that's really good for humankind, I think. So that's why we all get out of bed every day to help double and triple that user count, is because boy, it'll feel great when it's 1 million or 5 million or 10 million people. Should it feel even better?
so AI is going to help propel your business, but also bring in a lot of competitors that are going to say, "Yeah, we do this with no code now, or whatever buzzword they're going to come up with to try to unseat the leaders, which you're becoming." So that's that helps in your build by borrow stack, obviously good targets. But yeah, how do you see it from a competitive point of view? I guess.
Yeah, listen, I think everyone's thinking about generative AI now, and I think 2 really interesting transactions I know just happened in the last few days. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we heard that Databricks acquired Mosaic, a really small company, but really building innovative large language models that will be private and
Yeah, everyone thought they bought Netscape or something. That was the original name of the
yeah,
Netscape browser.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then today, Snowflake announced that they're partnering with NVIDIA to build capabilities right in Snowflake to build large language models, and that's those
That's
are real,
pretty.
really good
That's a game changer.
like game
It could be a
changers.
game changer.
The
Yeah.
largest companies in the world aren't going to put all their data in with a private stack like generative AI or sorry, OpenAI or Microsoft. They're not going to want to share their the insights and secrets from their own customer database with everyone and the rest of the internet that's been scraped. They want to build it themselves in places like Databricks and places like Snowflake. So that I think that's really good for us because we orchestrate all of that. You can't just jump in and jump out with this, with a natural language query. You've got to have, the orchestration capabilities that we've been building for years.
Exactly. So the other thing we liked about your when my some of the producers did some research on you. Most people think we're talking about boring corporate spreadsheets. Or what I liked is all the cool industries you're involved in, everything from sports teams to, well, heck, you tell us, cars, and I mean, I could see the Chicago Cubs using this as a tool to predict all types of things. But yeah, what are some of your share with the audience some of your cool applications besides banking?
Yeah, well, it's funny because being an athlete in a much younger time, the notion of Moneyball didn't really exist way back when I played hockey. But
Yeah.
you look at every sport these days. In every major league, Premiership in England, we have a lot of customers. The NFL, NBA, NHL, even Formula One racing. Many of the teams use Alteryx, but in particular, McLaren, uses us in 7 or 8 different parts of their business, to make
Wow.
better.
Formula One, that's intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super intense.
I
And it's
love it.
massive amounts of data and real time decisions that have to be applied within nanoseconds because they matter in Formula One. And I think, but here's the reality, and this better than most, Dean, is every company wants to be like a tech company or run like a Formula One company these days, right? And I think you hear the CEO of Capital One calling that bank a tech company that moves money around, and it applies in almost every industry today. And so I think to me that's a really good tailwind for the demand of
Yeah.
the kind of capabilities that we bring because
Some of them just want the tech valuations, but others really are saying, "Hey, if we're not a tech-enabled superstar company, we're going to become irrelevant, obscure, and move into decline." Sure.
exactly.
Yeah, and you're kind of the enabler to that, which is fascinating. Can this help? Off the wall question. Can this just short answer? Can this help the education industry?
Oh,
Because
for sure.
it needs help
It
at
really
all levels.
Yeah, I think there's gosh, we could talk for hours about education, but we started a program a couple of years ago. I asked one of our founders to start something we call Sparked, Spark Ed, and it's
Mm,
really a
yeah.
program where we've got about 20 people. We build curriculums, and it's not an Alteryx commercial, but we'll build a custom curriculum for an accounting class or a business class or finance class in business schools or polytechnics around the world, community colleges, or Coursera, and we'll give them the curriculum. We'll donate the licenses to the university,
Uh,
and
yep.
and
Beautiful.
and they're standing up. They've already, we've got already over 1,000 colleges that are teaching this, data science and advanced analytics class, and well over 100,000 students have already graduated from this class. And for me, that's a super important thing. Customers, number one or number two complaints are not having enough already enabled people in the workforce to go hire, uh, to drive this democratization across their business. And while it's still relatively small today, I expect that to grow by leaps and bounds in the future as well. And I think that'll help our customers primarily, but also and most importantly help
Yep.
people.
Yep. I love it. Well, Mark, thank you for joining us. Any parting words of wisdom or personal reboot stories that might help people who are aspiring to do what you did? First time CEO, you're not doing too bad.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I feel like I've been pretty fortunate. I've had the chance to work for
Don't
some,
get shy on us here.
some high quality companies, and take advice from incredible people like John Chambers, Dan Warmanhoven, Mark McLaughlin, John McAdam, CEOs that have decades of experience, and if not for them, I don't think I've been able to figure the dynamics of this job out in the last couple of years that we've had. But it's really hire great people. I mean, everybody wants a leader that orchestrates or facilitates the output of others. And if I can say I've done anything well, it's really putting the right people in on the right teams at the right time, and that goes up and down the organization, because
Right.
organizations that are
Exactly.
growing at our rate, they're changing every year. Every year, you're a different company, and customers expect more and new competencies from your people, and so you've got to be on top of that. And I just hope I can continue to take this company to where I think we all believe it can go.
Well said. Thanks, Mark. You've been listening to Mark Anderson, who's the CEO of Alteryx. This is Dean DeVias with the Reboot Chronicles. I want to thank you for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dean.